I first knew I wanted to be a game designer probably my sophomore year of college. Playing a bunch of video games, I had a lot of ideas for how to change them up slightly, how to make them a little better in my opinion, how I thought they should be. That's kind of when I first realized that I wanted to start designing games. I'd say for people who want to be designers, it's a good idea to experience life and not just stay on video games all the time, because you really need to take a lot of your references from life and apply those to video games. You don't always just want to be so focused on games that the mechanics you come up with are strictly taken from other games. You need to be able to, if you want to be a level designer, I'd say a good thing to do is to start working with editing engines right now. Just jump onto the UDK, the Unreal Development Kit, and get your hands on as many engines as you can and figure out how they work, because a lot of what you do here, if you want to be a level designer, is figuring out how those engines work. Well, my undergraduate degree was in English, and I did that because I actually toured FIEA my sophomore year, and they told me that's a really good undergraduate to have if you want to be a producer. And it has helped me a lot. It has, just the creative process alone, just coming up with ideas and really getting them fleshed out into where other people can understand them. It helped me a lot to be an English undergraduate student. Before I came to FIEA, I actually looked at a few other schools. I looked at Full Sail and some other places online, and FIEA just had a good reputation. They had good teachers. They had teachers that were actually in the industry. So you need good people to learn from. You can't just go to a school where it's a bunch of graduate students teaching you, because they don't have real industry experience. So that's why I chose to come here. I'm working on Shadows of Abigail. I'm actually a designer on the game, a level designer. The game is a 2.5D puzzle game, and I actually help build the levels. I come up with the designs for them, the way it's going to work, the mechanics in the game. The qualities that make a good level designer are things that I'm still figuring out, but as I go, I start to realize that you have to be not extremely organized, but you have to know what to start with, how to start small, and how to start with the general idea and how to build it from there, and not just jump down into the specific details right off the bat, and to go over it on paper first and get a rough idea of how it's all going to work, and then fill it in as you go, and really build it, iterate on your own work over and over. My expectations when coming here was that I was going to learn a lot, and I actually have. I'd say in the first 3 months here, I learned more than I had in the first 2 years of college. You're surrounded by people that know everything that you don't know. So if you don't know something about web design, you can ask somebody. If you don't know something about scripting, you can ask somebody. So there's always a person next to you who has an answer. So that's kind of what I expected, and that's a lot of what I got. I'd say the biggest challenge was working under constraints, because before I came here, if I just had an idea in my head, I could just go with it. Write it out, maybe draw a little picture of it, start designing. Whatever idea I had, I could pretty much go with and just do it how I wanted to do it. When you come here, everything has to fit into like a nice, neat little box. Everything has to be done with constraints. You have to have rules. You have to know what you're trying to build, and you have to be working with artists and programmers, and there's not as much wiggle room. You can't just do things willy-nilly. You can't just be inspired to do something and go off and do it, because it doesn't always fit. So you have to work with constraints. If there's one thing I wish I was warned about, it would be that the school is going to make you address your weaknesses, and a lot of times. So I came here, and I'm not very scared of public speaking, but I'm not the most comfortable doing it. And within the first 2 months of being here, I had to stand in front of people talking at least 4 times. So you have to address what you're not good at, and you really come to terms with what you're not very good at, and you start to understand what you're good at compared to what you're not good at, because they make you address them very quickly. So if somebody would have told me to start working on what you're bad at, then I probably would have done that a long time ago. The moment that sticks out being here at FIEA would have to be the moment I realized that 80% of the work you do is going to be thrown away, and you have to get used to that. You have to just keep coming up with stuff over and over and over. And hopefully over time, that 80% will drop down. But you're going to have to throw away a lot of work, and that's stuck with me. That's something I've realized working here, and not to get worried about it, just to throw it away and kind of learn from that and move on. My ultimate goal in the industry is to be successful and to be a lead designer at a studio. Hopefully a studio that makes their own intellectual IPs, or their own IPs that they make in-house, and just to be a well-respected designer. I don't anticipate a big jump. I think a lot that we do here is you can actually apply it to a job, so I don't think it's going to be a huge jump. I'm actually very prepared, I think, in my mind. And that's a lot more than I could say for a year ago. So at this point, I'm definitely prepared for a job in the industry. I'm not worried about it at all. And if anything FIEA has given me, it's a lot of confidence to actually go into the industry and be successful.